one thing I can tell you, he makes you think. Whether you agree with him or not, he will definitely make you think, because I've had not personal interactions, I've had many email exchanges with him, and he was making me think even now by asking me, as they say, he does the rapid fire questions. But anyway, the topic I think is a very important topic, and which is, developing a common strategy for safety and security of Hindus worldwide. And our speaker is a very esteemed Shri Ashok Chogleji. He obviously doesn't need an introduction, but he will introduce himself also, because there might be facets of his background that he might want to emphasize more. But this is more so a brainstorming session and a strategic discussion, rather than just a pure lecture and then ending. That's why we only have him as the speaker, and Chogleji, I hope you will make it more a brainstorming session. So please welcome Shri Ashok Chogle for this wonderful session.
Thank you, Sanjay. As you said, okay, like to introduce myself. I am the working president of Vishwa Hindu Parishad. My responsibility is our units outside of India. Organizationally, our president is Mr. Raghav Reddy. He's the president, and we have two working presidents. One is myself, and the second one is Dr. Praveen Bhai Togadia, who looks after the organization from the internal part of it. So, having my responsibility as an external part, I can, I'm also the boss of Swami Vigananji. So whenever you think nicely of him, think nicely of me also. This is okay. As I said, okay, I've joined the Vishwa Hindu Parishad and the RSS only since about 91, late 90 or early 91. I didn't have any relationship with them before, but when I joined them, okay, and then I had an opportunity to have a look at the ideology and the working of these organizations, and I had a feeling that working in this organization will help me to do my particular part for the for the Hindu community and for India, because I believe, okay, that within the broad ideology, I think we have solutions, okay, to the problems, okay, that are faced by the faced by our community. It gives the direction. It doesn't give a solution, but I think it sets out the direction on the basis of which you can work towards solutions. So this topic for today is that developing a common strategy for safety and concerns of Hindus worldwide. Let us have I'll give a little bit of a snapshot about the Hindus worldwide. As everybody knows, okay, people from, we have had, okay, interactions. Hindus have been moving out of Hindustan for a very, very long time, partly for trade purposes earlier, during a long time. And there were some little conquests, okay, that on the in the Southeast Asian countries, and along with it, okay, the civilization also went with them. But the speciality or the uniqueness of the Hindus going out, both as conquest as well as for other economic reasons, is that we never imposed our civilization on the host civilizations. Okay, we worked with them. So many times, like in the Southeast Asia, the civilizations, okay, the local civilizations, okay, incorporated a large element of Hindu philosophy and Hindu civilization within their own working, and so it's been a very nice particular merger. There's never been a question of conquest, both either physical or civilizational. That was one part, okay, that is there as I said, many centuries ago. But probably, okay, the more important part for the topic which we have starts with when the Hindus were taken from here as indentured labor, to Fiji, to Mauritius, to South Africa, and to what would be largely called West Indies, where Hindus went, and okay, West Indies would include also Suriname. So that was the other particular phase. And then there was the third phase, which is the post-1960 migration. That migration, both to America and to Europe, which was, I think, that was more an exclusively, I would call it, say, economic migration from the 60s. And in the late, I think from 1990 onward, there was a certain amount of acceleration, particularly with the IT industry. Uh, Now, if we were to break up this part, okay, the part, as I said, the civilizational part, I don't think we need to kind of like talk about much as far as this session is concerned. But the one that went as indentured labor in those countries. Obviously, okay, it was the indentured labor was just a nice word for slaves, because that time when the people were taken at that time, slavery as an institution was banned. But then they just turned the name to indentured labor. So many of these people, okay, we can talk about Fiji, we can say Suriname, see even South Africa. These are the places where there was a large amount of suppression of the Hindus. However, if you take Mauritius, where the Hindu population was like, the Hindu population today is about 50% plus. The total Indian population is more than 70%. Out of that, 20%, I think about some 50% of them were Hindus who got converted primarily to Christianity in Mauritius. That is, so. But Mauritius, I would say, is the classic example of how you see communities, okay, like in call it like in using a loose word of alien community coming into a different land, how they have benefited, okay, the land as well as the people, whoever were the indigenous people. There's never been any communal, like, even though Hindus, okay, were ruling, have been ruling the country since independence. I don't think that any other community was discriminated against because of that rule. At the same time, if one were to see the economic prosperity of Mauritius during this period, which benefited everybody, not just the Hindus or the Indians, it benefited all sections of the community, including the either the what you can call the indigenous people, or they were another set of indentured labor, which were the coming from Africa, which were brought over there. Even they have prospered because of this. So that is one thing. That is one aspect over there. Then you take the question of Suriname. I think in Suriname and Fiji, I'll take these two examples. In both these cases, okay, the Hindus became, okay, like the through the democratic process. There was a Hindu who was, I don't know what you call it, like the chief executive, we can say, of that country, either as the prime minister or as the president. And they were ruling. But when they went out campaigning, they never campaigned as Hindus. They campaigned as Surinamese, they campaigned as Fijians. So they said, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to do something that is going to benefit the whole community, the whole country. And that's what our objective was. But in both the cases, the government, an elected government, okay, was thrown out by a coup in both the places. And since then, the Hindu population has reduced very drastically in case of Suriname. I don't know what it started with, but I believe right now it's about under 30% Hindus in Suriname. And in case of Fiji, a population of about really little around 50% has come down to around about 40%. A lot of the people went out of those countries, migrated out. People from Fiji went to Australia and New Zealand, and then maybe they went to other places. People from Suriname, I think, went to Europe, primarily to Holland. So this is one particular phase. And then, okay, case of South Africa, you see, everybody knows. Then you had the case of Uganda and Kenya, primarily Uganda, where the Indian population was thrown out without any compensation. You see, but after they were thrown out, you know what happened to the economy of the country. In Kenya, they were not thrown out, but they were like discriminated against, okay, or like or they were like in terms of what you call affirmative action. They got, in that sense, okay, they got discriminated against. But even though they were like, they were not there so in such a level of prominence as earlier, they still contributed very positively to those countries. You see, so you don't see that type of what happened in the level of downturn, economic downturn in Uganda. You don't see that happening in Kenya. You see, so you have this. I think two examples of two neighboring countries. Now there's of course today there's a much larger. Okay, one more country I need to touch upon is Malaysia. So again, indentured labor that went over there primarily from Tamil Nadu, from the South India. And again, okay, we all know what I think most of us would probably know what is happening over there, the serious discrimination. One of the things that's not understood about, I think, very consciously about Malaysia, although Malaysia is said to be Islamic country, actually I think the Muslims are somewhere around about 55%. Now 76. Okay, started with I think when the whole thing started. Okay, that. All right. Okay. Okay. But originally, I think when Malaysia was formed, 49.5 Malay was okay. So you can, I think, this really it gives a dimension to a problem. Okay, to the I think to the problem that which is being faced today over there. And the other particular areas were others were a large amount. I think maybe 30% or so were at that time. I'm not talking. 30% were Chinese. And 20% were Hindus, and there were very serious Malay Chinese riots. I don't know the exact year. 66, yeah, 69. They were very serious, riots. So there, and then after that, the Bhumiputra policies started. Now today, what has happened in Malaysia, in fact, although they are citizens, they are second. I mean, you can say they are not. They are officially second-class citizens in the sense that the Malay Hindus cannot do not get any facility to go into colleges. I think they're discriminated against in many of the professions also, and Hindus are like saying temples can just be destroyed on the name of like building a road or on the name in the name of development and everything, and even on their democratic rights also. There are very serious issues that are being created, adverse issues that are being created for the Hindus. So then now another aspect that is today coming about is like discrimination or the threat to Hindus in terms of a civilizational and cultural attack on the Hindus, particularly in the West through the academics and partly due to due to politics also. There's a misrepresentation of Hinduism in all aspects, and even particularly by teachers in Hindu studies, in comparative studies, teachers who are supposed to teach Hinduism. It is, I think, it is well known that most of the particular teachers who are teaching Hinduism, even though they have Hindu names, they have a deep antipathy towards Hinduism. Now, this is probably an exception amongst any academic studies, where the person teaching that subject has a deep antipathy towards the subject. Now, for example, you can't teach physics if you still believe in the biblical norm that the earth is flat. You have to say, I mean, you can't teach physics or you can't teach this astronomy, or that if you say that the earth is the center of the universe. So now, if you see this, I'm deliberately taking this example and not the other example that's normally taken, just to make a point. Unless until you have like some empathy towards the subject to which you are supposed to you want to teach, you obviously are going to teach the subject in a very negative way, and that is really where the whole starting point is. So this now there are examples of this, including the California textbooks. You have the examples of Wendy Doniger. Before that, you had the example of Jeffrey Kripal's Kali's Child. That is there, and you see everywhere, even from Australia, the type of I think projection that is done. Like for example, this one I don't know exact year. See, there's not very maybe 20 years ago or 20, 30 years ago, where this one lady in Australia has written a paper where she says that the Kumbh Mela is like a type of British invention. It was just during the time of British, okay, to keep the Hindus happy. Okay, maybe some half a dozen sons, okay, went to the British colonial masters and said to them, okay, we want to have a Kumbh Mela. Okay, so then they encouraged it, and now, the Mahakumbh at the Prayag, was an event, okay, that was started from there. This is the type, again, I'm, giving a broader particular run around, okay, of the subject. And this is the type of threats, okay, which we are facing. Uh, so I think let me end over there. Okay, let me say a few more things. I think there's today, okay, with the awakening of the Hindus all over the world, and more important, I think there's one paper that I'd written, I think it was in 2002, which was published in London Voice in UK, and the title of that particular paper was Hindus as a model religious minority. I think it was before 2002. Hindus as a model religious minority. I think this is something that we need to recognize. You see, so because in my paper I said Hindus, okay, have gone into everywhere in the world, uh, never asked for anything special as Hindus, except for some things like we want to build a temple. Can you please, okay, if there's some change in the zoning laws that have to be done, some small changes, that is what we are requesting. Sometimes, okay, we may request, okay, we have a plot, okay, there is going to be traffic coming in, particularly during festivals. Can you help us to acquire land, okay, to build a road from the main road to our particular plot? Those are the type of things that we ask. We don't go and ask them, okay, to say that, like, give us scholarships and, do all this type of what many of the other communities are asking for. We have never asked. At the same time, you can see the contribution of the Hindus, okay, to the local community. I think in America, for example, I think amongst all communities, Hindus are probably the highest level in terms of economic criteria, or is it the second highest next to Jews? Do you have any? Do you, highest. We are the highest. How did this happen? We went over there, okay, like as economic migrants. We went over there as part of the particular things like people coming from Trinidad. Uh, we came as part of the people that came from Trinidad and some other places, as almost like say refugees. There. You see, despite that, we are where we are. So recently, okay, when some of you may have seen Jagdish Bhagwati, okay, talking in that India Today conclave before, okay, just before Narendra Modi, the day before Narendra Modi was to arrive in New York, where he said that Indians have this darshan mentality. Okay, they like to take their photos taken with President Obama, but they don't ask anything. Anything. They don't lobby for for India or for Indians. In fact, like I've written a paper and a provocative title. Jagdish Bhagwati is seriously wrong. You see. So where I said, okay, in fact, you should be applauding this. Okay, because we are behaving in a very secular manner. We are not behaving in communal manner, whereas other communities, okay, behave in communal. But where are we? Despite, okay, not asking for all these things, we are in a position, okay, where we are making such serious contribution to the society, and that is really what we have to see. I was in South Africa for our Hindu Economic Forum a few months ago, and then when I saw that, okay, I felt, I mean, like in my brief presentation, I said to them that all of you sitting over here, the people from South Africa, you probably are like maybe what you became independent, and your indentured labor contracts, okay, were cancelled maybe what 2 generations before, okay, maximum 3 generations, and during this period of time, see, for somebody like saying without any education, person working in the field, and today where are you mostly? Like in Mauritius, the persons whose both grandfather grandfather was a sugarcane working in sugarcane plantation, he saved and helped his son to work to get little educated, but he had no particular opportunity to do other than still work in the sugarcane farm. Then the gentleman, then his son, the grandson, today is a, like a chief engineer of the electricity board in in Mauritius. That's the type of leap, in generations. Okay, we have made, the Hindus have made, when given a little bit of opportunity. Not something, okay, that is great, and we have done it ourselves. Okay, we have done. I think the point I would like to emphasize here is that we have done so much, okay, without, okay, the state support, and this is something that I would like to see. I would like, I think, everywhere, every particular Hindu organizations to keep on repeating this again and again and again. Hindus are a model religious minority. You know, see, I think, and unless that recognition is there at the conscious level, I think, some of the battles which we are trying to fight, okay, will become difficult. But we are winning. Today, I would say that worldwide, Hindus are winning the battles. Okay, and I think, earlier, okay, we were losing the battle. We have turned the tide around, and I can say, like, leave aside, okay, what I mean, despite, okay, what media projects event as, we are still, I think, this winning the battle, but the threats are not, okay, diminished. The threats are still there, and there are, and I think the more that our opponents, our enemies are losing the battles, the more I think they try and sort of make those threats. They have a lot of support. I think a lot of the support still comes from what you can call, say, the intellectual level. And even today, like saying somebody like Wendy Doniger, despite her particular book, whatever she's written, she's still considered to be the queen bee of Hinduism teachings in America. However, at the same time, let us recognize, okay, due to the efforts of the Hindus, okay, we have been able to get her entry in Encarta removed, and put an entry, okay, like from the Professor Arvind Sharma of of Canada. See, so this was I said, what I call battles that which we have won. On Kali's child, okay, the Swamijis of the Ramakrishna Mission, okay, like made very detailed response to it. You see, so today now it has earlier when it came out, it was not this, I think, not a part of the recommended reading list. Although Kali's child will be there, the response to it, okay, would not be there. I believe now that is coming about. I mean, they said, okay, Kali's child, response to it by the Swamiji is also mentioned. So today people are getting this, both the sides. I don't know how many people are here from America. Okay, only one. Uh, okay, okay, here I'm talking. How many people have read the article "We Are All Hindus Now" that came out by Lisa Miller? Okay, see. Now that it was based on a study, what is a study by the Pew Foundation, which went and looked at, said, okay, talked to people and said, uh, there are about, I think at that time, this is about maybe 6 years, 5 6 years, okay, old study. They are saying that if I remember right, okay, somewhere around 35% of the people are believing in pluralism, which is expressed in Ekam Sad Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. There's one eternal truth. There are many ways to reach it. A phrase that was popularized, okay, by Swami Vivekanand when he went to America in 1893 and stayed there for 3 4 years. That one particular, people are believing in reincarnation. People are believing, saying that, like, okay, we want to be cremated and not buried. Okay. Now that was an increasing belief, increasing trend. And like, I would like to say that the distinctive feature of Hinduism, which distinctive means something does not exist in any other religion, dharma, whatever you may call it. Distinctive feature is Ekam Sad Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. That's the essence of our pluralism. Now, if 30% of the people, okay, are accepting, okay, that this essence of the principle, I would say 30% are Hindus. Right? Okay, I mean, it's polemical point, but it is a point that really needs to come on the table. Okay, many of these particular points have to change the terms of discussions. So okay, now I've given the, like, threats. I must confess. Okay, I'm a very positive person about, because I'm positive because what I've seen Hindus all over the world, okay, have done to to protect our dharma. We must also realize that we are the oldest surviving civilization, and this is something that has not happened by accident. Civilizations like Mesopotamia, the Egyptian civilization, the Greek civilization, all these civilizations, even the Incas and the Mayas, okay, and the Aztecs in America, in North America, you don't see hardly see any monuments, okay, of the ancient civilizations. But at least in South America, you see the monuments. But all these are not, for them, are bricks and mortar. They're just stones. There is no life in them. Our particular monuments there's a life in our monument primarily because we are a surviving civilization. You go to the Greeks and you see that all the ruins over there, and you can say that this must have been a great civilization. You know, if anybody goes to Athens, I mean, I was quite surprised during that time, the type of extent to which, okay, the Athens as a city was, even for that particular period of time. The very large area. I mean, I don't imagine. I don't think there's probably any other city of that antiquity, okay, of that particular period would have had that large an area. You see, so you can see the ruins of that city spread out, okay, like almost like I would say today, everywhere today of today's Athens. That is the type of extent, okay, that's the type of greatness of the civilization. People may have seen Petra in Jordan. I have not been there. I've seen photos. If you go Google it and see that, beautiful, beautiful monuments carved, in limestone rocks. It's a great. I would say that, like, it's a great engineering feat. Just like I always tell everybody, the our Ajanta, Ellora, Elephanta, these are great engineering feats. This is just not, okay, great, like, pieces of art. They are great pieces of art, but there's also, to have created that particular art, there was a huge amount of engineering, okay, that went into it, okay, which needs to be again emphasized. So this is our particular where we are. We are the oldest surviving civilization. Let's understand it. Let's also understand it. This has not happened by accident, because the forces, okay, that destroyed other civilizations, the same forces, okay, tried to destroy our civilization with the same attempt of brutality. We survived, okay, we succeeded, we survived. And our survival, okay, was due to the sacrifices made by our ancestors, okay, where it was required to come and debate, we went and debated with them, and we proved, okay, what is our greatness of our civilization. Our Vedas today are a continuing, from whenever they were kind of like thought of, not just written. Whenever they've thought of, I don't think anybody disputes that the Vedas of today, okay, is anywhere, from a word to word, any different than what was said in 2,000, 3,000 years ago. I don't know how many years, more than that. At least, I would say, one can easily say at least 2,000 years ago. Right? Whereas if you see many of the other particular documents, many of the other scriptures have been continually changing. There's no changes in our Vedas. And the sublime thought that you get in our Vedas, right, was the same amount, same sublimity, okay, that existed at that time. There was no crudeness at that time. It's the same sublimity. Sometimes, okay, you just look at this and think about it. When you talk about Swami Vivekananda, he was, what, 28, 29 when he spoke, at World Parliament of Religion. Right? At that young age, he could have had that impact. It's amazing. I mean, yeah, but that shows the greatness of our civilization. And I think today I would say, it is our responsibility of not just the people sitting in this room, but every particular Hindu throughout the world. It is our responsibility to ensure that the sacrifices made by our ancestors do not go waste. Right? So that is why we need to work out, okay, all these strategies and everything to protect, okay, to work out, okay, what we need to do further. Right? I think I spoke a little bit longer, more than what I wanted to speak, but I'll now throw the floor open. I'd just like to introduce Vishnu Hari Dalmia. All of you would know that he was our president of Vishnu Parishad for quite a long time. And I would say this is like when I talked about saying that people who have made sacrifices, okay, to protect our civilization. I use him as an example for it of that. Uh, okay, yeah. Please, I think, please state your name and where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
just
uh,
going to bring the
uh, uh,
mic.
yeah,
We'll get the mic
yeah,
over.
yeah, you'll get.
I'm uneasy with the mic.
Okay,
Hand mic.
okay, okay. Please. Who's the next person? I think the mic can be here. I think can you give the mic here? Yeah.
Chairman Ashok Chogle, Dalmia ji, and friends. I was extremely delighted when Ashok Chogle started the presentation with how Indian civilization spread to the Southeast Asian countries. You also emphasized the fact that it went through non-aggressive means and the ingratiating and assimilable qualities of the Southeast Asian, the creative genius at work, where they absorbed the Indian cultural forms to their advantage. In the field of religion, for example, in Indonesia, the earliest form of religion was animism. Over that, Hinduism, various forms of Hinduism, Saivism, Vaishnavism, the Harihara cult. Over that, when Buddhism, the Theravada, the Mahayana, the Tantrayana, then Islam, one did not replace the other. One blended with the other very easily. As a result of it, the Javanese were saying that Rama went to Mecca and came back as Muhammad. So, this is just because you started with that, I thought that I should supplement what you said. I shall take up 3 or 4 problems which face the Indian diaspora in general, and since the Indian diaspora is overwhelmingly Hindu, the Hindu diaspora. I don't make a distinction between the two. Such. Unfortunately, we never devoted any attention to the stateless people of Indian origin in various countries. Stateless people are those who are neither Indian citizens, nor have they been able to take the citizenship of the countries in which they have settled. According to the Singhvi Committee report, the maximum number of stateless people are in Myanmar, 400,000 people. Malaysia has 50,000. We had this morning a presentation by a member of parliament who said it is 66,000. The Hindraf people say it is 100,000. When Federation of Malaya became an independent country, it was as a result of compromise between the Malays and the non-Malays. One of the concessions with the Malays made with that they introduced jus soli, citizenship by birth. As a result of which all those who were born in Malaya should become Malaysians. Still, we have 50,000 according to Singhvi Committee, 65,000 there, and more than 100,000 according to Hindraf. This is an issue which should be taken by Government of India with the respective government. Most of them are settled there for 3-4 generations. By any stretch of imagination, they should get the citizenship of this country. I will request you, Chogle, to take this issue with the Government of India and do this thing.
You're not included Sri Lanka in this list?
Sri Lanka, there are no stateless. They have introduced citizenship by which all people are the one. Now, since citizenship is coming, we are mentioning it, there are, about 100,000 Sri Lankan refugees in Tamil Nadu. Most of them are Sri Lankan Tamil, but there are also from the hill country, people of Indian origin there. According to a survey which has been done, there are 29,500 what we call the Indian Tamils, or the hill country Tamils, in the refugee camps. According to Article 8 of the Indian Constitution, the people of Indian origin are entitled to take Indian citizenship. It's an interesting story. I will not get into that thing. Now, these people have stayed there. Most of them have come in 1990s. And they got integrated in the Indian society. They studied here, they're intermarried. None of them want to go back to Sri Lanka among these 29,005. The Sri Lankan Tamils are a different category. They don't consider themselves Indian origin. They consider themselves Tamil origin. So in Pravasi Bharati Divas and all, they don't come. Whereas this Indian origin, what stands in their way of taking citizenship is a circular issued by the Government of India that refugees are not entitled for citizenship. But in the case of Afghan refugees who have come to India after the war, there are a large number of SIKHs, SIKHs, And UNHCR has taken up their case for citizenship. They are also agitating for citizenship. So I think when this issue is being settled, these people of Indian origin, who by who are our children, children of Mother India, they are doing it. How do the diaspora look at India? We look at the Indian diaspora, you beautifully summed it up, Singhi committee, all of us have written and spoken about it. I'm always fond of quoting in the classroom situation when I teach diaspora, a statement from Jawaharlal Nehru's autobiography. In 1929, after his father's death, he goes with Kamala, his wife, and young Indira to Ceylon at that time. He goes to the plantations, he goes to Norelia and stays in a guest house. Early in the morning, he says, at least 400, 500 Tamils will assemble before the bungalow in which he used to stay. And then he said, why are they coming to see me? I don't speak their language, I don't speak Tamil. Then he says, because they see in me a representative of India. They see in me a descendant of Gandhiji. And they will bring flowers, cheese, butter and all, milk, and he will distribute them to the orphanages. So when India becomes powerful, the diaspora becomes powerful. They feel proud. I know the fact when Vajpayee regime, when we exercised the nuclear explosion, nuclear option, how the Indians abroad felt thrilled that India is emerging as a very powerful country. So it is necessary. Once we become a powerful country, then the diaspora also will become powerful. The third point,
I'll give it to you. Yeah, sorry.
sir, I want your attention, so I'll stop till you. The third point which stands in our way for diplomacy is the big hiatus between precept and practice. We announce something, it takes many, many years to give and implement. I'll illustrate it. When Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister, he went to Thailand. The Thammasat University invited him to speak to the faculty and students. He was going with A.N. Ram, who was our ambassador at that time. And both A.N. Ram and Narasimha Rao are Telugus, so that binds them still further. And A.N. Ram whispered into his ears, you make a statement that those Buddhists who want to come to India on pilgrimage, no visa fee will be charged. Visa will be given gratis. Narasimha Rao made that statement. Next day, the whole media in Thailand went gaga over it. But do you know how many years it took for the things to be? 3 years. There is so much difference between precept and practice. A couple of years ago, Manmohan Singh went to Myanmar. I have no question. This is a brainstorming session.
You're brainstorming.
So I am making suggestions.
Yeah. Okay.
If you want me to stop, I'll stop.
No. Go ahead. Yeah. But at the same time, I think other people.
No, I can confirm. This is, now I lost my chain of thought.
You talked about.
No. Manmohan Singh went to Myanmar. One of the things that he was to have done was to inaugurate the bus service from Moreh to Mandalay. And it was publicized in all the media. Once he reached Burma, he knew the road is not ready. Now I was reading in the Week magazine, it's only 2015 it will be ready. That is Moreh, Mandalay, and then to Thailand, then to Vietnam is very much interested in having that highway there. And the whole project, sir, is to be done by the Indian engineers as far as Myanmar is concerned. If we delay, if the government of India does not know that there is going to be delay in this, then there is something wrong with that thing. So we'll learn. I'll take one more point and then I shall stop. It is about the connectivities that India has with neighboring countries. If you look at the Northeast India, for example, there are Nagas in India, Nagas in Myanmar, there are Mizos in India, there are Mizos in Myanmar, the Chins. There are Kasis in India, there are Kasis in Bangladesh, and all connectivity is there. Same people divided by a no man's land. Now we have to exploit these connectivities to our advantage. I was teaching in Shillong, and there is an area where the Bengalis are concentrated called Laban. By about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the Hilsa fish will come from Bangladesh, not through legal means, illegal means, what they call the traditional trade. Which, if you go to Imphal market, go to Shillong market, any market you go flooded with Chinese goods, not legal. all illegal, comes through Myanmar and all. Now, why not we legalize it? So this connectivity has to be exploited to our advantage. I was in University of Manipur a few years ago to hold a
think-
PhD. I'm stopping it.
No, no, I think it is away from the topic of our
No,
topic of
I'm thinking that it
yeah.
has something to do with diplomacy.
Yeah.
Where I met a Naga student who had come from Myanmar. I asked him, was it difficult for you to get a student visa from our embassy in Rangoon? He just laughed. I asked him, why are you laughing? Sir, I crossed the mountains, come here during the vacation. That is the connectivity between. And if we can't exploit this connectivity to our advantage, if we exploit the connectivity to our advantage, it will become a win-win situation. And that is the basis of regional cooperation. Then I think our neighborhood policies may not go in the pace in which that we would like to see. I'm sorry that I didn't come up to your expectations.
Yeah.
No questions.
Yeah, but I think let us stick to the topic of our session, which is really of working, developing a common strategy for safety and security of Hindus worldwide. Over there, okay. There's some particular points I think that have been covered. Sorry, may I know your name, please? Suryanara. Yeah. Yeah, please.
Professor, very well celebrated.
Okay.
He lectures in National Defense College, Delhi,
Okay.
and many other places of
Okay.
prestige.
My name is Ganeshalingam. I'm from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I'm not of Indian origin. I'm of Ceylon Tamil origin. My friend just now, professor, made a distinction between Ceylon Tamils and Indian Tamils. I think this is not the forum for that. We are all Hindus. And
Yeah, please.
if I might
Thank you.
if I might say that when President Obama stood for election to become president of USA, he criticized the previous government for being involved in Iraq. He said, why do we send our people there to get killed? But now, recently, he has sent the American troops to Iraq. Why is that? Because the Arab guerrillas have been killing Christians in Iraq. Those Christians are 2,000-year-old Christians. So even the US is protecting their own people of their own religion. But India has been doing the opposite. In Sri Lanka, in 2009, there was a war against terror, so-called war against terror, between the Sri Lankan government and the Tamil rebels. Tamil rebels were 90% Hindus. They were fighting against oppression and tyranny. And in that war, the UN report says that 40,000 civilians were killed. That's their estimate, but the Tamils have estimated a much higher amount. And what more they said the Indian government collaborated with the Sri Lankan government. So I think we ought to have an investigation to what the UPA government did. They can't use the Indian army outside India. They can only use it for the defense of India. Now, may I make
Yeah,
a...
can you, no, yeah,
Please withdraw that statement immediately.
yeah, no, I think,
Forget any wrong
no, I think we'll, yeah.
You know what has been said.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I think, but let you please continue. Other, but
This brainstorming
let
session,
me
my
try-
friend
yeah.
can read the Constitution of India.
Yeah,
The
I think
schedule
can
says
we-
that the
can
army
we,
must be
can we
used
not
for
get
defense
into
of
those
India.
points where there's a larger point which we would like to get into? Please go ahead with the other points.
Of course,
Yeah.
there's nothing larger than
No, please go ahead.
genocide.
Please go
Yeah.
ahead with the other points. So
Yes.
please.
Now, for safety and security of Hindus worldwide, we have to consider that the number of Hindus is decreasing worldwide. This morning we had a speaker, member of parliament from Malaysia, who said the number of Hindus in Malaysia is decreasing. And he gave the reason as late marriages. And perhaps we can think about that. In 1810, I think, when the British wanted to introduce a minimum age for marriages, Hindus protested because they married early. It was a natural thing for boys and girls to get married when they become big. Now we find they are getting married at the age of 30 or not getting married at all. Perhaps we can suggest to the government to introduce tax exemption status for people who do this marriage brokering or matrimonial business,
Yeah.
and also encourage our boys and girls to marry immediately they finish their tertiary education at the age of 24, instead
Okay.
of waiting,
All right.
and
Any-
give some
yeah,
incentives
okay,
for it.
okay.
And also that previously we had a one-child policy, we must now change it to a three-child policy and give incentives for that.
Yeah, actually, like in the format that I was given, there was no other speaker in the final particular format. But I believe, okay, there is yeah, Mr. Yeah, Jasdeep Rai, I think wanted to make some presentation. Okay, please come in.
Let her just have a comment and then Jaydeep ji come.
Yeah.
You have a comment?
Yeah.
Question, come. And then Jaydeep ji.
Yeah.
मुझे विश्वास है कि सभी हिंदी तो समझते ही होंगे। माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं डॉक्टर सुधा मलैया हूँ, हिस्टोरियन आर्कियोलॉजिस्ट हूँ और जर्नलिस्ट भी हूँ, चीफ एडिटर हूँ एक मैगज़ीन की, पॉलिटिक्स में भी हूँ, नेशनल सेक्रेटरी बीजेपी की थी, और मेरे हस्बैंड फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर मध्य प्रदेश गवर्नमेंट है, और एजुकेशनिस्ट भी हूँ। लेकिन मैं अभी जो थोड़ी कुछ बात कहने जा रही हूँ, शायद सेफ्टी और सिक्योरिटी की दृष्टि से शायद आउट ऑफ बॉक्स लगे, कुछ अलग सी बात है। एक तो बहुत मटेरियल बेसिस पर एक बात ही मैं कहना चाहती हूँ कि मेरी सुषमा जी से जैसे ही सुषमा जी एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर बनी, मैंने चर्चा उनसे की कि मैंने कहा आप क्या चेंजेस लाने वाली हैं और क्या चेंजेस आप इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं, जिससे कि हमारे भारतवंशियों को जो बाहर रह रहे वाले हैं उनको एक सुकून मिले, जो इतने सालों से वो नहीं महसूस कर रहे हैं कि हम प्रोटेक्टेड हैं और भारत हमारी चिंता करने आएगा, हमारे इंटरेस्ट को सेफ गार्ड करेगा, और हम जिस देश के निवासी हैं वह देश हमारी रक्षा के लिए खड़ा है। क्योंकि जो बात आपने कही कि जब तक देश पावरफुल नहीं होगा तब तक हमें वहाँ कोई कुछ समझता ही नहीं है। हमने न्यू जर्सी में डॉट बस्टर्स का वो देखा, हमने ब्लैक्स का क्वींस में, वहाँ पर क्वींस एरिया में न्यूयॉर्क में अभी भी इंडियंस के साथ क्या सलूक होता है। बांग्लादेश में हमारे जजमेंट हुआ जेनोसाइड के लिए 1971 में, उनकी हाई कोर्ट ने, जिसका जज मुस्लिम था, जिसका और जो करने वाले वो थे, वहाँ हुआ, लेकिन उन्होंने तोड़े, अपना गुस्सा निकाला हिंदुओं पर, सारे मंदिर तोड़े और वो करा। और ये अभी की बात है, हाल ही की बात है, 4-5 महीने पहले की बात है, 5-6 महीने के अंदर अंदर। हम सेफ्टी और सिक्योरिटी की बात उन देशों में तो कर ही रहे हैं जहाँ पर जो लेबर के रूप में गए हैं और जो माइग्रेटेड है, उनके इश्यूज़ अलग हैं और उनके इश्यूज़ अलग हैं। लेकिन हमारे अपने देश में हम आज तक जम्मू एंड कश्मीर के निर्वासितों को, पंडितों को हम न्याय नहीं दिला पाए, उनके लिए हम कुछ नहीं कर पाए। हमारे अपने देश में मुझे याद है बचपन से, मैं छोटी सी थी, मैं मेरठ की हूँ, मेरठ में बराबर से हिंदू मुस्लिम रहते हैं। मैं जब गलियों से गुजरती थी, वहाँ जहाँ कसाई खाने बुजुड़ खाने रहते थे, तो हमको डर लगता था। आज बात हो रही थी कि ये साइकी में, कल मीडिया के कॉन्फ्रेंस उसमें मैं चर्चा कर रही थी, बात हो रही थी कि हमारी जो साइकी में सेल्फ लोथिंग टेंडेंसी आ गई है कि हिंदू है तो हम कमज़ोर हैं, हम ये हैं, हम फेयरफुल हैं। तो वो उस जिमी एटीट्यूड से तो आई ही, जो हमारे जो मुस्लिम शासकों के सम्मुख जो रह गए, जिनको लगता था कि सर्वाइवल के लिए ज़रूरी है कि या तो इस्लाम कबूल कर लो, नहीं तो जिमी बनकर रहो, उनके लिए कर जजिया पे करो और जिमी एटीट्यूड के साथ रहो। तो एक फ़ियर हमारे मन में भर गया। वो फ़ियर आज तक चला रहा है, स्वतंत्रता के बाद भी। मैं तो स्वतंत्र देश में पैदा हुई, लेकिन मैं वहाँ से निकलती थी तो मुझे लगता था मुसलमानों का मोहल्ला है, यहाँ पे क्या होगा। जबकि मैं जिस मकान में, जिस घर में, जिस कैंपस में रहती थी, मुसलमान कैंपस है, 200 लोग मेरे यहाँ मुसलमान काम करते थे। उसके बावजूद ये साइकी में हमारे मुस्लिम शासकों के प्रति जो आ गया, आज भी मैं ये बात इसलिए कह रही हूँ, मैंने कनेक्ट किया, आज हैदराबाद में ओवैसी 85 करोड़ हिंदुओं को खुलेआम गाली देता है, खुलेआम उन्हें कोसता है और कहता है कि 25 करोड़ हम लोग इनको सबको निपटा देंगे, और हमारी सरकार कुछ नहीं कर पाती। तो हम किसकी सेफ्टी और सिक्योरिटी की बात करें? हम पावरफुल तो हो रहे हैं, हमारे जिस प्रकार से हमारे प्रधानमंत्री मूव कर रहे हैं और जिस प्रकार से अपने देश का पावरफुल बना रहे हैं, उससे हम पावरफुल हो रहे हैं और हिंदू हमारे साथ, उसके साथ हिंदू पावरफुल हो रहा है और भारतीय पावरफुल हो रहा है। लेकिन उसके साथ साथ हमें इन मटेरियल बेसिस पर ये कि जो हमारे हाई कमीशंस हैं, जो हमारी एम्बेसीज हैं, उनके साथ साथ वो केवल वीज़ा देने और वीज़ा नहीं देने का काम नहीं करें, केवल वहाँ प्रॉब्लम सोल्यूशन के लिए भी अलग से सेल्स होना चाहिए। ये मेरी बात सुषमा जी से हुई, मैंने कहा सुषमा जी, हर हाई कमीशन में, हर एम्बेसी में आप अलग से एक सेल इस बात के लिए बनाइए। आपकी वहाँ पर अभी जो स्टाफ है वो कर्टेसी एक्सटेंडिंग स्टाफ है, कि जो सिर्फ वहाँ से यहाँ से कोई जाएंगे, वो जाएंगे तो वो सिर्फ उनको कर्टेसी एक्सटेंड करेंगे और एम्बेसीज में जो भी हैं। तो उसके अलावा जो इंडियंस की वहाँ प्रॉब्लम है और जो भारतवंशियों की प्रॉब्लम है, उसकी तरफ ध्यान देने का कुछ नहीं है। ये एक बात है। लेकिन मैं एक दूसरी बात कह रही हूँ आज जी, बस मैं अब दूसरी बात जो कह रही हूँ वो थोड़ी सी स्पिरिचुअल लेवल की बात एक अलग है। मैं अभी एक स्पिरिचुअल साइंटिस्ट की कॉन्फ्रेंस में 2 अक्टूबर से 5 अक्टूबर को बेंगलोर में थी, पिरामिड वैली में। वहाँ पर बहुत सारे मास्टर्स आए हुए थे पूरे ऑल ओवर द ग्लोब, मास्टर सोल्स, मास्टर गुरुज हु वर इन कनेक्शन with the deities, with Indian deities, with the deities all I mean जो भी यूनिवर्स में जो भी जिसकी मान्यताएं हैं उनके साथ वो चैनल कर सकते थे। और वहाँ सब लोग जो भी थे, जितने भी इस समय विदेश में रिसर्चेस हो रही हैं, वो सब हो रही हैं, वो सब अब ये मान रहे हैं कि वी आर मूविंग टूवर्ड्स fifth dimension, the earth planet is moving towards fifth dimension and the frequencies are changing. So उस दिन 2 अक्टूबर को उन्होंने कहा कि अर्थ की फ्रीक्वेंसी चेंज हो गई है। जो हमारी मिल्की वे गैलेक्सी है, उस गैलेक्टिक काउंसिल में अर्थ प्लैनेट को मेंबर बना लिया गया है, जैसे कि यूएनओ के देश सारे होते हैं। ये बात दूसरे सुनने में आश्चर्यजनक लग सकती है, लेकिन इस समय 1 लाख से ज़्यादा लोग इस पूरे पृथ्वी प्लैनेट पर स्पिरिचुअल बेसिस पर साइकिक हैं और काम कर रहे हैं, और दूसरे स्टार नेशन से भी लोग री इनकारनेट यहाँ हुए हैं। हमारे प्रधानमंत्री भी शायद एक ग्रेट मास्टर सोल इनकारनेटेड है, दैट इज़ व्हाट फॉर माई नॉलेज, which I will not relieve in this platform. May let the time come and let the masters reveal that fact. I was told there that he is a great master soul reincarnated. पर उन्होंने जो बात कही, जब मैंने उनसे पूछा कि 3rd डायमेंशन से 5th डायमेंशन में कैसे जाएगी पृथ्वी प्लैनेट, तो उन्होंने कहा यस, जो कल बात दलाई लामा जी ने कही कि हमें इमोशनल लेवल पर काम करना पड़ेगा कि व्हाट वी आर। तो वहाँ पर एक नीना ब्राउन आई थी अमेरिका से, उन्होंने कहा कि हमारे डीएनए कोड में हम ये ट्रांसफ़र कर रहे हैं एनर्जीज़, जो गैलेक्टिक काउंसिल्स ने डीएनए कोड्स ट्रांसफ़र किए, और उसमें मैंने कहा एक कैसे आप लोग काम करेंगे, कैसे एकदम से फ्री, बोले ये सब हम लोगों को मिलकर करना होगा। एंड व्हाट इज़ दैट? देन शी सेड everybody whosoever believes in himself and in the existence of the soul has to say that I am a sovereign divine soul. एंड जब आप सोवरेन डिवाइन सोल कहते हैं तो आप उन फेयर्स को फेस करते हैं। जो हमारी सिक्योरिटी और ये सब सेफ्टी की बात आती है, जब हम कहते हैं, मैंने आज एक उदाहरण देखा, और मैं उदाहरण अभी नहीं बता रही कि हम
Sudha ji, I think what you are talking over there is not relevant to the topic.
It is relevant to
No,
the safety and
sorry.
security.
No,
If
no,
the
I'm sorry.
whole of
Can
Hindu diaspora start thinking in these terms, that I am a sovereign divine soul and I am protected.
Thank
I am protected in this universe.
Thank you.
And I am protected in the grace in a perfect manner.
Protected before you
Yeah.
started talking. The
Say-
Hindu philosophy itself.
Yeah, I think,
Stuff, right?
yeah.
From the beginning.
पर उस समय हम इंटेंशन होल्ड नहीं करते, जिस समय हम इंटेंशन होल्ड करते हैं तो वी स्टार्ट डूइंग दैट। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
एक मिनट, I think doctor wanted to. I think he was supposed to be a speaker in the earlier particular program, but I think because the revised program. Okay, so we'll let him speak for about 10 minutes, and then we'll take up other points.
Okay, thank you. It's been a privilege to come to this conference. I was supposed to speak yesterday, but for some reason I wasn't aware, so I beg your pardon for interfering in your session. I'm a medical doctor with a lot of interest in human rights, environmental issues, and diversity issues. And I have studied a lot about the Indian Constitution, history, and Indian texts, ancient texts. The current constitution, legal and political institution of India is based on secularism, which is tolerant of religions and ensures freedom of conscience and expression. Now, secularism was the leap forward made by Europeans after the long wars between different sects of Christianity and the persistent obstructive, sometimes violently oppressive interventions of the church in evolution of science and modern rational thought. Secularism was and continued to be almost the only option for Europeans to escape the despotism and fundamentalism of the church. That is until now. The Western secular state model was fine as long as the only religion was Christianity, but with the state transforming from a single national and religious group to a multi-ethnic, multicultural, multi-religious entity, there are challenges that the Western state model is finding difficult to cope with. The secular state model works to some extent where the belief system is based on dualism. But where the distinction between temporal and spiritual is not clear, the secular state model faces difficulties. It is worth asking whether India, having had a civilization longer than the West and most of the world, has any solutions for the modern state. Can it lead the world in the future configuration and political framework of the state? It is first necessary to examine what has been lost of the Indian wisdom, what is recoverable, and how India can deal with the challenges of the modern state itself. Of the many benefits that colonialism brought to India, the modern egalitarian and republican state is one of them, but colonialism also reshaped societies fundamentally by reconstituting their cultures, philosophies, and political thought from a Western perspective. One of the most effective reconstitution of Indian worldview was to classify dharma to mean religion and box almost all of Indian thought and intellectual achievements as belief systems. It may have been an unwitting result of a conquering force which failed to understand the complex concepts and systems. There have been a number of writings which have asserted that dharma is not religion. It is a much broader concept that ranges from ethics to the very nature of its substance and laws of nature. It is not uncommon to hear about the dharma of a mountain, of a tree, of a husband, of a wife, and for the purpose of this talk, of dharma of a raja and of the Raj itself. The wider conceptual meaning evolved over time. The contraction introduced, but the colonialism contracted its meaning to mean religion. The contraction introduced a dualist perspective into the philosophies of India, and the Indian became the dominant paradigm, particularly in political thought, bringing them in line with Abrahamic worldview, not Indian worldview. While it has enabled an easier passage of the emergence of the secular state without much intellectual challenge, it has not quite created the calm and harmony between communities that secularism delivered in Europe. It's not difficult to appreciate the reason. The ordinary person's upbringing in India and inspiration is derived from the texts and backdrop of linguistic culture that has permeated Indian communities for many thousands of years. Secularism makes the content of much Indian thought redundant when the texts and concepts move beyond the spiritual, otherworld, or esoteric dimensions. For instance, the Dharma Shastras and Kautilya's Astha Shastra become texts of religion, antiquity associated with the religion called Hinduism. They immediately become texts and ideas relevant for exegesis within the mandir and not for serious analysis and ideas in the university departments of political science, ethics, or social studies. Colonialism cannot be entirely blamed for this. For instance, Socrates is treated as an originator of serious philosophical tradition of dialectic. His many texts, Indian thought, the Dharma Shastra, Astha Shastra, Shilpa Shastra, are dismissed in the academic world by concentrating on the spiritual or religious aspects within the text and classifying them as religious texts. Amartya Sen made a very poignant comment once. He said, if you want to find about Indian philosophy, you have to go to religion, but if you want to find about Western philosophy, you go to the philosophy section in the library. Why is that? While arguing for the ideas and philosophies of ancient texts to be considered for serious analysis and application in conventional world, we look at the idea of Bahuda, as in the Jaina text Anekantavada. It has been generally suggested that these merely apply to religion and refer to ideas of spiritual paths. I would argue that if we consider the word dharma to be more than religion and make a shift from the dualist perspective, we see Bahuda as an overarching philosophy that transcends both the temporal and the spiritual. I believe that was how it was applied in Indian thought, political and social life before colonialism. It is also the philosophy that has been the identifying characteristic of India's renowned tradition of accepting different religions, peoples, communities, and philosophies without the violent conflicts that have characterized European and Middle Eastern history including contemporary one. So let us analyze what the construct Bahuda is based on. Its underlying foundation is that the ultimate truth is not only elusive, but that when a person arrives at it, it cannot be communicated through normal means of human communication, be it language, poetry, music, etc. The ultimate truth is not an intellectual exercise claimed by a theorist, a prophet, or a scientist. It is that stage of Brahm Gyan, when Gyan becomes incommunicable. Only the path can be shared. In the Indian context, no one can coercively claim that they have the ultimate truth, because there is no contemporaneous way of verifying the person's claim. If that person articulates it, then the person has misunderstood the concept of truth in Indian context. That is common across Hinduism, Sikhi, Jaina, and Buddhism. Therefore, there is no scope for anyone to dismiss the other's philosophy as a false god or false, hence the basis of coexistence in Indian tradition. The different paths, be they Vedanta, Samkhya, Nyaya, Buddhism, Sikhism, Jainism, or even science, cannot entirely claim to be the only paths to truth, because the truth is not verifiable. It becomes beyond communication. There are, of course, rules in all social and political systems. Indian pluralism works by observing some very basic principles. And one of them is that no belief system can engage in active proselytizing. No belief system can go to another and say that their God is false, their belief is false, and they are the only truth. By observing this etiquette, pluralism is possible in the public domain, and different belief systems coexist without seeking to dominate the other through active programs of missionary work or proselytizing. A person has the ultimate freedom within Indian context to choose his or her belief system. Once we appreciate this, we can begin to retrieve one of the most enduring subliminal philosophical strengths of Indian civilization into contemporary political thought, that is pluralism. A fact that overlooked is that there is no real conflict among the many indigenous Indian belief systems, be it Hinduism, Sikhi, Jainism, or Buddhism. There are conflicts between religions which have come from abroad or from the West, including secularism and Indian traditions. So it's worth asking whether India should continue to strengthen political and legal theories that did not have embryonic evolution within the intellectual concepts of India, or should it start to retrieve its own unique intellectual strengths and show the world that coexistence is possible without conflicts as long as some basic rules are observed. My final point here is, in my opinion, the word secular in the Constitution should be changed to a more dharmic, more Indian word of pluralism. And I think from there, we begin to assert ourselves in the international community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for restricting time. Okay.
We have
Yeah.
half an hour now for you to get the subject.
Okay, correct. Okay. Yeah, I think the lady over here.
मैं हिंदी में बोलूँगी। मैं फिजी से हूँ। अपना परिचय मैं ये देना चाहूँगी, मैं हिंदू हूँ और आज इस सभा में हूँ। वैसे मैं काम करती हूँ, बहुत लंबा बोलने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। और भी लोग
आपका
हैं।
नाम बताएंगे?
मेरा नाम नीलम है। मैं फिजी के सिनारियो, पॉलिटिकल सिनारियो के बारे में कुछ जानकारी जानना चाहती हूँ, क्योंकि आपने बहुत चर्चा की है उस पर। आज बैनीमारामा सरकार है तो हर भारतीय सुरक्षित महसूस करता है, लेकिन एक बहुत बड़ा प्रश्न चिन्ह है, कल वो नहीं होगा तो हिंदुओं का क्या होगा। तो ये सवाल आज हर भारतीयों में, हर हिंदुओं में फिजी में है। हालांकि स्कूलों में जो नाम जितना इंडियन हुआ था, जितना हिंदू, सारे निकल गए हैं। ये जातीय टॉलरेंस, रेशियल टॉलरेंस और धार्मिक टॉलरेंस के कारण ही हुआ है, ताकि बैनीमारामा जी ये चाहते थे कि सब मिलजुल कर फिजी में रहें, एक सेकुलर स्टेट की तरह। धार्मिक जो है हिंदू अपने जो पूजा पाठ वो कर सकते हैं, मुस्लिम्स वो अपने कर सकते हैं, लेकिन आज जो पॉलिटिकल सिनारियो है फिजी में, आप सब उनसे वाकिफ़ हैं। अलग अलग पोजीशंस पे कौन बैठा हुआ, क्या बैठा हुआ, इससे भी आप वाकिफ़ होंगे, मुझे ज़्यादा बोलने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। हिंदुओं में मैं हर एक घर घर में जाती हूँ तो ये डर और भय अभी भी पैदा है कि शायद बैनीमारामा ना हो तो भविष्य कैसा होगा। आज भी माइग्रेशन होता है, शायद कुछ कम पैमाने पर, लेकिन होता है। 1987 के सत्ता पलटाव से पहले 52%, 52% भारतीय थे फिजी में, हिंदू। लेकिन भय और डर के कारण वो निकल गए और ये प्रक्रिया अभी भी जारी है, क्योंकि अभी भी राजनीतिक सुरक्षा नहीं है। इस कारण से, क्योंकि भविष्य ये सुनिश्चित नहीं करता है कि भविष्य कैसा होगा फिजी में, तो ये सिनारियो हमारी पॉलिटिकल अरेना में है अभी। ये मैं आप लोगों को बताना चाहूँगी। शायद अभी से 10 साल बाद बैनीमरामा जी नहीं रहेंगे तो क्या होगा? क्या वे किसी ऐसे व्यक्ति को ट्रेन कर सकते हैं जो सभी के साथ ऐसा व्यवहार कर सकते हैं जैसा वो कर रहे हैं? साथ साथ हम चल रहे हैं। भारत के साथ हमारा संबंध बहुत सुंदर, बहुत अच्छा, सुगम, बहुत मजबूत हो रहा है और होता रहेगा, लेकिन ये प्रश्न चिन्ह अभी भी है। तो हम चाहते हैं जो हमारा विश्व हिंदू समाज है, सम्मेलन है और कॉन्फ्रेंस जो ऐसे से होते हैं, उसमें ये निश्चित किया जाए कि यहाँ से आगे जो फिजी में भारतीय हैं, जो हिंदू हैं, उनका भविष्य का निर्धारण कैसा हो, कैसे लीडर्स हो वहाँ पर, एक ऐसा रंगमंच हो ताकि हम लोग सुरक्षित महसूस करें। और इतने पॉपुलेशन होने के बावजूद हमारे कोई खास अधिकार अभी है, जबकि मिनिस्ट्रियल पोजीशंस पे और सरकार में ऐसे 7 भारतीय हैं जो साथ साथ 15-20 के साथ में बैठे हुए हैं। बहुत खुशी की बात है, लेकिन साथ साथ ऐसे भी तत्व हैं समाज में जो अपने पॉलिटिकल इतने मजबूत कर रखे हैं, वो मतलब दूसरे भाई लोग हैं जो हिंदू नहीं हैं, तो उनसे अभी भी हमारा भय है, क्योंकि वो उनकी मजबूतियां और ज़्यादा हो रही हैं पॉलिटिकल अरेना में। तो हिंदुओं का भविष्य कैसा है फिजी में, मैं आज ये आप लोगों के पास ये बड़ा प्रश्न चिन्ह छोड़ रही हूँ। थैंक यू।
धन्यवाद। After this, Vishnu Hari ji will make some comments. No, I think if you speak in the mic, it'll be better. Yeah. Can you give the mic?
I'm Jay Deo, VHP Fiji se. I'm a third generation Hindu in Fiji. My ancestors actually migrated under the British India to Fiji in 1800s or early 1900s. We have been through 2 military takeovers where mass exodus of Bharatiyas took place from Fiji, and largely Hindus were the ones who were suppressed. They were raped, they were murdered. All sorts of violence took place against the Hindus. Unfortunately, we had no intervention from Bharat. Now, this led to mass exodus. Prior to 87, we had about 53% of Hindus in the country. We were a large in number. Today, we are only 25%, sir. We have decreased by less than half. Now, it is due to migration and also due to forced conversions, fake healings, and other money-giving tactics. There are only 5% Muslims in the country now. We have a new constitution which makes us a secular state, but suppression of Hindus is still very much in the system. And Christians still want a Christian state, and they are trying all their level best to see that Fiji is reverted back to reverted as a former Christian state. And we also had our first Hindu economic conference in order to revive our Hindu feeling, because we have always been subjugated, we always felt inferior. So we tried to do something with the help of Swami Vigyanand ji, and we also had our first Hindu conference this year. And we also have managed to put in 4 of our VHP members in parliament who are with the ruling party at the moment. Muslims in the country unfortunately look at Pakistan as their country, not Bharat. And in order to strategically have a security for Hindus, I would suggest that we have more investment of Hindus in Fiji. We have more migration of Hindus into Fiji from India, from Bharat, and then we try to raise our population of Hindus that has gone below 50% to somewhere around 35%, 38%, to have a better economic control and better economic power in the country. We also need, because there's been an intellectual gap between the Hindus and how the Hindu system actually works, we need to send Hindu pracharaks to propagate Hinduism or Hindu dharma in the country. We need the Sangha pracharaks to come to our country. We need them to go and meet people, have pocket meetings, conduct community conferences, so that we can encourage Hindu dharma, and then we can stop this exodus of Hindus. And also put in some serious resources, because remember, Fiji is in a very strategic position in the Pacific as well. That is why just immediately after hosting Mr. Narendra Modi ji on Wednesday, Today we have got the Chinese premier president in the country, offering similar or better incentives to Fiji. Because everybody is eyeing Fiji as a Pacific hub, and they all want to create Fiji as their military base as well. So that's a point, sir, for you to take. Thank you.
Thank you.
आज का विषय है सेफ्टी एंड सिक्योरिटी ऑफ हिंदूज वर्ल्ड वाइड। इस विषय पर बहुत कम लोगों ने ध्यान दिया है। मैं कुछ ऐसी बातें आपके सामने रखना चाहता हूँ जिससे आपके रोंगटे खड़े हो जाएंगे। जब पाकिस्तान का निर्माण हुआ उस समय जिन्ना साहब ने ये कहा कि हम इस्लाम के जो अनुयायी हैं, हिंदुओं और मुसलमानों का धर्म अलग है, रहन सहन अलग है, तौर तरीका अलग है, इसलिए हम साथ में नहीं रह सकते। ये उनका मेन मुद्दा था, इसी को लेकर पाकिस्तान का निर्माण हुआ। जब पाकिस्तान बन गया तब जिन्ना साहब ने प्रस्ताव रखा कि भाई जब ऐसी बात थी हम साथ नहीं रह सकते तो एक्सचेंज ऑफ पॉपुलेशन हो जानी चाहिए। अंडर द मिलिट्री रूल, मिलिट्री के साथ, सेफ्टी के साथ, दोनों तरह की पॉपुलेशन एक्सचेंज हो जाए, कोई खून खराबी नहीं होगी, जो कि हुई। भारत ने इस प्रस्ताव को नहीं माना। परिणाम क्या हुआ कि उन्होंने तो अपने क्लींसिंग कर ली और करते चले जा रहे हैं। वो तो कहते हम तो नॉन मुस्लिम के यहाँ नहीं रख सकते, इसलिए आप भले ही मत करो एक्सचेंज ऑफ पॉपुलेशन, हम ऐसो एक्सचेंज हम अपनी पॉपुलेशन हम तो यहाँ से भगाएंगे। आप देखिए जिस समय पाकिस्तान बना उस समय कितने हिंदू वहाँ थे और कितने हिंदू अब वहाँ रह गए हैं, और जो रह गए हैं और जो भाग के यहाँ आए हैं उन किस दुर्दशा में आए हैं वो लोग, क्या उनके साथ हुआ, ये समाचार पत्रों में बराबर छपता रहता है। तो हमारी भारत सरकार की ये बुनियादी भूल थी कि उन्होंने एक्सचेंज ऑफ पॉपुलेशन को स्वीकार नहीं किया। दूसरे बांग्लादेश के बारे में आपको बताना चाहता हूँ। बांग्लादेश का निर्माण में भारत का कितना सहयोग था ये आप सब जानते हैं। भारत के सहयोग के बिना बांग्लादेश का निर्माण हो नहीं सकता था। इसके बावजूद आज बांग्लादेशी लोग कितने एहसान मानते हैं, हमारा एहसान मानना दूर रहा हो तो हमारा तो दुश्मनी मानते हैं। वहाँ से भी हिंदुओं को भगाया जा रहा है, वहाँ भी हिंदुओं के साथ वही बर्ताव किया जा रहा है जो पाकिस्तान में किया जा रहा था। और इसके अलावा बांग्लादेश से आके मुसलमान हिंदू इंडिया में बसते चले जा रहे हैं अपनी पॉपुलेशन बढ़ाने के लिए। वो कहते हैं जब हमारी पॉपुलेशन बढ़ जाएगी तो हम इंडिया को इस्लामिक स्टेट बना सकेंगे। जो टेररिज्म चल रहा है पाकिस्तान के यहाँ से, उसका उद्देश्य भी है कि भारत को इस्लामिक स्टेट बनाना। साफ कहते हैं वो लोग, कोई छिपाव की बात नहीं है कि हमको भारत को इस्लामिक स्टेट बनाना है। इसके बावजूद भी हमारी भारत सरकार के कान खड़े नहीं होते, वो निश्चिंत चुप है। अब मैं कश्मीर के बारे में आपको बताना चाहता हूं, जिसको इंडिया कहता है कि हमारा अभिन्न अंग है। कश्मीर में पंडितों को भगा दिया गया, हमारी सरकार देखती रह गई। क्या अत्याचार किया गया उन पर, ज़रा 2-3 उदाहरण बताता हूँ आपको। उनको भगाने के लिए पंडितों को, उनको महिलाओं को तो रेप किया ही गया, उसमें वो तो कॉमन फैक्टर है पाकिस्तान बांग्लादेश सब जगह। लेकिन उनको बोरे में बांध के, भय उत्पन्न करने के लिए क्या क्या एट्रोसिटी की गई आप बताता हूँ। बोरे में बांध के झेलम नदी में फेंक दिया गया, आंखें निकाल दी गईं, आरे से चीर दिया गया। ये प्रकार की एट्रोसिटीज़ हुई हैं। तब पंडित लोग वहाँ से भाग के जम्मू में आके बस गए हैं, और आज तक उन पंडितों को वापस भेजने का वहाँ कोई भी इंतजाम नहीं हुआ कि जी सरकार ने नहीं किया। क्यों करे भारत सरकार? कि भारत सरकार की नीति तो मुस्लिम अपीजमेंट की रही है, तो मुस्लिम अपीजमेंट की नीति में ये सब काम नहीं हो सकते हैं, तो भारत सरकार ने कुछ नहीं किया। हम भारत सरकार को दोष भले ही देते हैं, भारत सरकार ने कुछ किया नहीं। ये घटनाएं हमारे साथ घटी हैं। अब हम सोचते हैं कि सेफ्टी सिक्योरिटी हिंदुओं की कैसे हो, तो सेफ्टी सिक्योरिटी भाई साहब यहाँ बैठ के रेजोल्यूशन पास करने से नहीं होगी। जिन देशों में हिंदुओं के साथ एट्रोसिटीज की जा रही हैं उन देशों के प्रति कुछ सैंक्शंस लगने पड़ेंगे, आवश्यक है, उसके बिना नहीं होगा। और सैंक्शंस भी ऐसे लगें जो उनको तकलीफ दें, वो समझें कि वो देश समझें कि भाई हमारे पास कोई उपाय नहीं है, अब हमको बदलना पड़ेगा अपनी नीति, नहीं तो वर्ल्ड वाइड जो कंट्री हमारे पास सैंक्शन लगाएंगे हमारा रहना जीना मुश्किल हो जाएगा। जब इस तरह के सैंक्शन लगेंगे तो कुछ कदम में हिंदुओं की सिक्योरिटी हो सकती है, इसके बिना नहीं होगी। और अल्टीमेटली अगर इससे भी काम नहीं बनेगा तो भारत सरकार को कुछ आर्मी के कदम उठाने पड़ेंगे हिंदुओं की सेफ्टी के लिए। ये सब हमारी तरफ से कुछ हो नहीं रहा है, और जब ऐसी सरकार जब तक नहीं आएगी जो हिंदुओं के हितों का ख्याल रखे, मेजोरिटी होने के बाद भी यार हमारी ये दशा है। भारतवर्ष में हम सेकंड ग्रेड नागरिक हैं जहाँ मेजोरिटी में हैं, तो और देशों में तो हम माइनॉरिटी में होंगे, तो वहाँ सेकंड ग्रेड नागरिक हैं, तो क्या नई बात है। जहाँ मेजोरिटी में वहाँ सेकंड ग्रेड नागरिक हैं आज हम। इसलिए हमें बहुत गंभीरता से विचार करना चाहिए कि हमारी सेफ्टी पहले तो हिंदुस्तान में ही कैसे हो, यहाँ सेफ्टी होगी तो और देशों में भी सेफ्टी होगी। जब यहाँ सेफ्टी अगर नहीं होगी तो और देशों में कुछ नहीं हो पाएगा। इस अधिवेशन को इस पर बहुत ध्यान दे के विचार करना चाहिए, और सिर्फ रेजोल्यूशन पास करने से कुछ नहीं होने वाला है। मेरा यही ध्यान था कि आप लोगों का ध्यान आकर्षित करूं। जो ये समस्या है बड़ी विकट समस्या है, इस पर हम लोगों ने बहुत कम ध्यान दिया है, दूसरे विषयों पर हम चले गए। ये मेन विषय है, इस पर ध्यान देने की ज़रूरत है और एकजुट होकर इस पर काम करने की आवश्यकता है। जय श्री राम।
I think that I had recognized the lady over here. No, over here. Yeah. I'm sorry I had missed you.
Not a problem. Thank you very much. As I, good afternoon everyone. As I listen to...
Can we have your name please?
Oh, my name is Santosh Vinita Kalyan and I'm from South Africa, Member of Parliament in the National Assembly for the opposition party, the official opposition. Colleagues, as I listen to the debate unfold and the discourse unfold, on the one hand I am exhilarated by the discussion. On the other hand, I feel a sense of despair, because coming from South Africa, I can tell you, I mean, South Africa has the second largest Indian population out of India, and 80% of that would be Hindus. We celebrated 4 years ago the 150th anniversary of the arrival of the indentured labourers to South Africa, and I can tell you that they only have a good story to tell, because although the conditions in arriving there and they were in a form of slavery, at the end of the day it was a good story, because when they were liberated they went on to make successes of themselves, and mainly Hindus, and they practiced, and because of apartheid we were allocated to certain districts. We couldn't go out of those areas and mingle with the whites or the Africans or the coloreds. That very strategy, I think, concretized and strengthened the links within the communities, and your sense of belonging, your sense of being, going to the temple and doing everything was strengthened. So when I look at what democracy has done, 20 years now into democracy, people are compromising their Hindu-ness for the sake of a job, for the sake of status, because everything now is about affirmative action. In apartheid, we were not white enough. Now in a democracy, we are not black enough. Everything is about job reservations, and yesterday when I was presenting, I said, you know, when you're applying to the university, for example, to medical school, you've got to put your race on the application form. And the reason for that is that positions are reserved So if they take 60 doctors per year at the Nelson Mandela Medical School, only 10 of those positions will be for Indians. And then it may be 5 whites and maybe 2 coloreds and the rest for Africans. But just to get back to the topic, the celebration of the 150 years brought about this Hindu renaissance, which I think is so much needed in our country. Because as I said, some of the Hindus compromise themselves try to act like a white man or try to be like a black person in order for job security, okay? We have tried, we don't have in South Africa a coordinated strategy to strengthen Hinduism. And we're living in silos, which is unfortunate, you know. And when you live in silos, I think that is when you start to lose your identity of who you are, because you're trying to fit in with where you are, where you're working and where you're staying. Just one question, sir. This use of idols, deities on clothing seems to have caused a huge uproar in my country, and I have been asked, why don't you write about it? Why don't you do something about it? You know, take it up with the human rights and all that. And for me, it's actually a non-issue. But maybe I need to be educated on it. Is it really an issue if symbols are used on T-shirts and tights and things like that, designed by the West and marketed? What is your view on that? And then on the point of sanctions that esteemed speaker spoke about sanctions, having lived in apartheid and being part of a country that was sanctioned, we were shut out, and it affected the poor people. So when we talk about sanctions, think very carefully about the impact and the consequences, because the African people really, really suffered. Because of the sanctions, the poverty was so much. Just a few points. Thank you.
No, so I'm sorry, let there not be, there are other people also who want to. No, please. %80 of the yeah. Okay. The only quick response to your point about on the clothing, deities on the clothing, I think it's a question of how it is depicted and in what type of clothing. I mean, there have been agitations, say, where Hindu deities have been depicted on, say, shoes. That was agitated for, and successfully, I think, the companies withdrew it. But in other particular cases over there, I think it has to be taken a case by case. Let's be, all I would say is let's be sensible about it. Okay, yeah, okay, and let's not make it like an overall an issue by itself. I think, yeah.
Sorry, I'm new to the microphone. I'm from UK. My name is Vasikaran. I was born in Sri Lanka. I just wanted to add some points on the safety and security. Hindus, there's a genocide of Hindus in Sri Lanka. I've been through that and I have seen it, it's witnessed. I wanted to add some points to the Mr. Kanasalingam or Dr. Kanasalingam. It's 146,000 people were unaccounted for just in 2009. Majority of them were Hindus. But before that, there's thousands of people, majority of them again, Hindus were massacred and killed, but no investigation or justice served. But it's all accelerated during the last 10 years, not by BJP government, it's only the Sonia Gandhi or Congress government, because they didn't really pay any attention to the Hindus in Sri Lanka. Like Fiji, in Sri Lanka, Tamils are being, the number is going down. The majority lived in north and east of Sri Lanka. Now if you see them, it's gone very down because thousands of people been missing. The Hindus' livelihood being destroyed by every successive government of Sri Lanka. If you see the worship, the temples have been destroyed and they're gone. they're not any anymore. So they're not really encouraging any Hindus there anymore. Christian, there are minority, but Muslims and Buddhists are become more majority there. So I think our government should really look into that and see how we can save the Hindus, because Pakistanis or Muslims and Chinese are also invading north and east of Sri Lanka. So this is the really security for the India as well. Thank you.
This session was about to developing a common strategy for safety and security of Hindus worldwide. Considering my average intelligence, can anybody please tell me one takeaway from this last couple of hours, that except what Sardar Sahab read, that we should do away with secularism as a word, which is probably not achievable because we'll not be able to do that. A change in constitution is definitely not in the order. Safety is not something abstract. It's a very physical concept. We need to be alive. We need our women to be safe. We need our children to go to school without any fear of being killed en route. Is there a single point I can take away? Because I could see a clear fear in what Dr. Ganesh Lingam said, what this lady from Fiji has said, but these people don't know what we are facing here in India. They don't know what's happening here in Rajasthan, in Tamil Nadu, in Bengal, in UP. Hindu leaders are being killed. Is there a physical bulwark to stop these criminals? Or we are going to pussyfoot as always and go back home thinking ourselves, oh, we've talked about it, it's all hunky-dory, we're still bad, maybe the situation is bad, well, let's talk about it. We're a great civilization, you see. Give me one takeaway from this conference, that physically you will keep us alive. For our children, this country will still be safe. I don't see that happening. Yeah. Thank you.
My name is Satya Dusapati. I'm from USA. I'm an activist for Hindu causes, Hindu Human Rights Watch and other different organizations. Yesterday night I was talking to some 4 activists until 2 o'clock from Andhra Pradesh. I was amazed at the amount of work they have been doing. And in fact, just 1 hour ago I was telling to Nachiketa ji and these people, this conference should give podium to the people who are actually making a difference on the ground, many times at risk to their physical and their family well-being. I mean, these people I have talked to, I mean, we are talking in their rooms, for 1,500 churches they closed down. And they were really facing the Islamic threat. And I was talking to Tapan Ghosh. I think, I don't know how many of you heard of Tapan Ghosh in West Bengal. And I was asking Nachiketa ji, where is Tapan Ghosh on the stage? These are the guys making the difference. I need to see them, because when people hear them, they will be motivated, their strategy and how they're successfully doing it. That is what needed here. I mean, we can talk and talk and talk and talk. I mean, yes, there are some very good activities of doing schools, but that is not going to save us. We need the people who are facing, and we need the role models, and we need to give them the podium. Thank you.
Can we have less of a crosstalk, please? Excuse me. Excuse me. Can we have less crosstalk? Can we have less crosstalk, because it also disturbs the rest of the audience. Okay. Yeah. I think somebody else may have some particular point. Anybody else who has not been able to speak? Because we are running out of time. It's like actually we are like already 10 minutes ahead. But I think as has been said that up till 4 o'clock, so we have another 5 minutes, 2-3 minutes for rounding up. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Good.
My name is Ajay Kumar from Kerala. I am doing a small business in Qatar. Okay. Past 50 years, we talk about conversion. The Hindu become, these Christian missionaries doing strong activities where Hindu is living. Entire the village in India, almost, especially in South, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Madras, and Kerala especially. Nagaland and all, I believe, 92% become Christians. Now we have a strong government. Why the government, or is there is any plan to change this policy? Why we are not able to stop the conversion Hindu to Muslim, either Hindu to Christianity? Is if there is any planning or there is any policies going to make for this?
Should I sum up or you sum? Okay. I'll use this. I think, as I said, we have exactly another 2.5 minutes, 1.5 minute over there. So I don't think we have any more time for any other intervention at the moment. Let me just sum up over there. No, I'm sorry. I mean, I think, as you all know, that this is the first time we are having a congress of this type. Where we have got, say, 1,800 people from nearly 50 countries. I think it's a start. I think, let us come together. Okay. Many of the particular issues that have been placed here have been like, no, I won't say they've been known, but like I think they have been talked about. But it's a good thing we have talked about all these issues that are there at one forum, in one particular forum, in one room, so that I think we start appreciating, okay, the gravity of the situation. So that. I think, as Dr. Umendra says, I think that's one positive point. But it also tells us, okay, what is the tells us in the leadership of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, of really what are the concerns of the Hindus in different parts of the world, on various issues. As you know, we are having some 7 conferences, okay, going on simultaneously. So we will do it. I think let us also be a little patient. I think question that was asked of the what the government is doing. Okay, as I said, we don't know. I will not say anything, but I think many times, like in every particular life, in companies, in a personal life, talking about a problem, I think makes you aware of looking for a solution. Okay, not talking. If the talking is not done at an appropriate level, we don't know whether they're that there is a problem and therefore we have to work for a solution. Many, I think, points that have been made during this 2 hours, okay, I think are extremely useful for us as an organization, and I think we will definitely be concerned about it. Some steps have already been taken. I think today, in 2 of the sessions that I attended, other cases over there, which clearly shows that. The situation, okay, what used to be, say, 10 years ago, okay, there is a forward movement. And as I said in my own introductory remarks, okay, that in the recent particular past, okay, we have won, okay, battles. There may be small battles, but we have won them. This is the first particular positive time which shows a forward movement. 5 years ago, when we had a program of our Vishwa Hindu Parishad International Coordination Meeting in Mumbai, our Sir Sangichalak, Dr. Mohanrao Bhagwat, made a mention that Hinduism is on the way to victory. It's a question of how much time it's going to take. And the time will be less if we all work hard towards it. In each one of us, whatever way that which we have got. You can take your own particular subject. I think that has been the strength of Hinduism, as I think many people who have read both Sitaram Goyal and Ram Sarup have noticed, that the not having a unified structure, unified command structure of Hinduism made it, okay, virtually impossible to destroy it. Okay, whereas in case of Buddhism in India, you just destroyed the monastery and Buddhism, okay, collapsed. In case of like in Hawaii, the queen got converted to Christianity, and then Christianity spread. So it did not happen over here. So that's one particular point, things that are there. And I as a person, will, whatever has been like some of the concerns that have been expressed over here, I'm happy that they have come out in the open, and I think it gives us like a direction for which, okay, which we in the Vishwa Hindu Parishad have to work forward. I'd like to thank all of you for your frank and forceful particular presentations that you have made, and on behalf of Vishwa Hindu Parishad, I would like to say once again, okay, thank you. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to be able to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chogle, Mr. Rai, Mr. Dalmia. Thank you so much, and thank you for all your questions. I know you want interface, and this is a brainstorming session, as you said.